session that we started sometime in July. I mean, how time flies, right? From July, we had the July session with Toby. We had the September session with Simel, and now we have the final third session with someone you'll get to meet in a bit. And it's been such, an incredible journey. Just before we started, I was just speaking with Okwemi Babajide, and just was me just, chatting her up to see how she's doing. And then she gives me the good news that from what she's been able to learn from this mentoring sessions that we have had in July, she's been able to get her first board role in a non-for-profit organization. This is music to me. This is the reason why we're doing what we're doing. This is really one of the biggest gifts we can get out of, this mentoring sessions. And I hope that we all have been able to glean something from it. That said, I remember at the last session, I did mention that there is a partnership that we were working on. So now I'm happy to say I can announce that PayWen has partnered with the DCRO, that's the DCRO Institute. This is an institute based in the US that it's pretty much what they do is provide risk governance certifications for individuals and a lot of the top financial institutions you have in, everywhere. I mean, particularly in the US and even global institutions like the IMF, the World Bank would require that board directors to have these certifications because they are globally recognized certifications, and we partner with them. And this partnership, what does this offer? The partnership offers African women, right, with the opportunity to be able to get significant discounts for their programs. And when I say significant discounts, what we've done is that we've had to, we've calculated the discounts based on the countries, because we realize that the GDP of different countries, I mean, someone in South Africa, for instance, may probably have a higher purchasing power than someone in Burundi, So we've been able to calculate the percentage discounts, and you'll get anything from 40% to as much as 90% discount off their programs just based on the partnership with PayWen. For most of the countries, though, I mean, like Nigeria, Kenya, the discount is 70%. So you can just walk around 70%. And this has been really, really phenomenal, because the first time I look at those certifications, I was like, wow, they're so expensive, about $3,000. And that's for their biggest qualification, which is qualified risk director, is the biggest risk and board certification you could have. And bringing this programs and certifications at a 70%, 90%, in some cases, and discount to African women is just phenomenal. I'm very proud of the work that we're doing, and we hope that you'll be able to take advantage of this. If you can just send the link to, I think, the press release that was shared, that I posted during the week. Please share it so that it gives you all the details that you need. And if for any reason you have any questions about the partnership, how to go about it and all of that, just send us an email at onboardher@paywen.org, or send us an email at info@paywen.org. There would always be someone there to respond to the email. So Ireneza, please send a link to that post. And now, with that said, I would like to also then welcome, as usual, in the first two sessions, we had our alumni. Oh, I forgot to also mention that as part of the partnership, because one of the certifications for the DCRO Institute is also their biggest certification is a qualified risk director certification. And before you can even get into that certification, you must show evidence that you have gone on a globally recognized board readiness certification. And now they have accepted our board readiness, our OnBoardHer program certificate as a qualified board readiness certification that enables you to be able to get that credentialing. I'm expecting to see some claps. I can't even see claps. I'm very proud of myself. You should be proud of us. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I see. I'm very vain. If I don't see 5 people clapping for me, I'm not going to continue. Aha! Thank you, thank you. Right, we've got world-class governance certifications to you at we've just made it very easy. It's affordable, it's accessible, and I think that for me, that's just it. These are certifications that typically a lot of African women would have shied away from or say, oh, no, this is out of my reach. But what we've done is to democratize it and make this accessible. And I hope you take advantage of it. Okay, and so in that light, I'd also like to invite one of our alumni who has been on the OnBoardHer program. I can't even remember. I think this was cohort 1 or cohort 2, but she's going to tell you about her journey and how that journey has, and what that journey has been post the program, the board she's sitting on. Don't forget, our OnBoardHer program is Parent Board Readiness certification program that seeks to help African women to get on their first board roles and to succeed and provide value on their current boards. It's a 10-week program that takes you through everything that you need to know to be an effective board member. So with that, the next cohort starts in 2 weeks' time. Am I correct? Next one starts, yes, in 2 weeks' time. I think, yes, in 2 weeks' time. And the applications will be closing soon. So if you want to join the next cohort, I seriously advise that, go ahead, you register on time. And if you meet the eligibility criteria, you'll be provided with the details of how to make payment and go in for the program. So at this point, I'd like to invite Mrs. Peju to just come and talk about her journey and what was the OnBoardHer experience like for her, and what has she gotten from the program. Mrs. Peju Fati, you have the floor.
SKP. Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, and thank you very much. I will keep it brief. I was thinking it will be at the end of the session from the email that I got, but it's fine because I'm not going to speak for too long anyway. I was part of cohort 1 for the OnBoardHer program, and it was really, it was a step of faith, to be honest, but it's really opened doors for me. At the time, I was on the executive table for a company, and I'd applied, and the lessons that I got there really helped me even in my work, in terms of like handling conflict management. One of the other lessons that was really helpful for me, because I was reporting directly to the board, was the one that we had on like reading financial books and understanding what questions and how that tells you the health of a business, and how as a board member you're able to help the organization. Interestingly, and Escape, I'm not even sure Escape is aware of this. Interestingly, I relocated, and then before relocating, my board of directors invited me to join the board of the company in Nigeria, which really was unexpected and really impressive. And also, I currently also sit on the board of a non-profit, like a professional association for the Association of Energy Engineers. And that also is like open doors for me. And as a board member, you are invited to advise, to help the business. You need to be strategic. You need to be able to communicate. I find myself being contacted for skill sets that you probably didn't even think that you had. But I must confess that maybe as women, and maybe as we approach the end of the year, it's helpful for you to write down all the skill sets that you have, write down the experiences that you have. Your experiences are unique to you, but they're able to apply in so many different scenarios. Even though in another country now, there's a lot of projects that come my office, to work, and the experience that I have, I'm able to still tailor it to what's happening here. So OnBoardHer is something that will open your mind to things that you didn't know existed. It's a mindset change. It changes how you speak. There was also the class about executive presence and the tone of your voice. You need to be able to position. You already have the skill set for you to be applying into the program, but the program, it's like going to finishing school where you are properly packaged and prepared to be able to position and demonstrate how you're able to deliver value. And one thing that I've come to realize is that regardless of who you are, where you're from, people will recognize value, and then certain things will definitely gravitate towards you. So that's something that I would highly recommend anybody to join the OnBoardHer program. And for what Paywen is doing, it is significantly comparable with what other organizations are offering locally and even globally. So you are getting very, very good content at a hugely discounted price, and the quality of the people that come to speak is amazing. And there are people that are experienced, and they bring their experience to the classes. So I think
Thank you so much, Pedro. I mean, yeah. I'm personally pained that you've not even given me all these updates, and I'm just getting to hear this update. But I'm super, 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 super happy and delighted that you say, I mean, from not being on any board, now you're on multiple boards. I don't even know. Yeah. Anyway, we need to catch up after this. We need to catch up after this. And I'm super excited, to see the progress that you have made. Please keep it up, keep shining, keep.
Thank you.
I mean, the biggest takeaway for me would be for you to pass on the torch, right? Keep also helping other people. But I'm always here supporting you, cheering you on, and I mean, I just sincerely wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Skippy.
Thank you, Pedro. All right. And I also want to say something that beyond just being a part of the OnBoardHer program, one of the things I've realized is that the women who actually put in the efforts into learning, doing the assignments, doing the program, the assignments, and the reading materials and everything that we give them actually do go on to achieve great results. I mean, we just invited Pedro yesterday. I mean, I just remembered, okay, Pedro was an active. I don't know what she's doing, but just go ahead and invite her. And hey, here she is. And I mean, being on multiple boards. All right. So with that said, let me now introduce our speaker for today. Ladies, I literally had to cross how many mountains and many oceans to be able to bring this delectable, beautiful. So let me leave all my descriptions. I just go on to talking about her professional career. Now, Akofa is a deputy managing director of Bank of Africa Kenya Limited. She's an experienced banker and chartered accountant. For you people that don't like, I mean, we have a lot of people on our board readiness programs that don't like finance. Sorry. She is an experienced banker and a chartered accountant, okay? With a career spanning over 20 years, her extensive experience leading all facets of banking, business development, risk management, and operations in multicultural organizations. She started a banking career as part of a pioneer staff of the Guaranty Trust Bank Ghana, our own Guaranty Trust Bank, right? And then she worked there for 3 years and then moved on to Amalgamated Bank, which later became the Bank of Africa Ghana Limited, where she's held key technical positions for 8 years and Chief Risk Officer for 4 years. She joined the Bank of Africa Kenya Limited in February 2024 as the Deputy Managing Director in charge of operations, information technology, treasury, credit documentation and recovery, HR, project management, organizational and service excellence departments of the bank. Just one woman managing all this. Anyway, let's because I already have a question I need to ask you, really. But she holds a Bachelor of Science degree in biochemistry, Bachelor of Laws degree, and an MBA in finance. Please, who does this? Chemistry, law, and finance. That's like another question I'm going to ask, right? In addition, Akofa is a chartered accountant with the ACCA UK, certified financial risk manager, ACI certified financial markets dealer, and a chartered banker, CIB of Ghana. She serves on the board of Guinness Ghana Breweries Limited as an independent non-executive director and as a board chairperson of Service Securities Ghana Limited. She's a member of the ACCA's UK Global Forum for Governance, Risk and Performance Management. Akofa is married with 2 daughters. Ladies, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum. Please, I need to say a lot of, I don't know what it is to have accumulated all of this. I mean, I think she's the only person, whether male or female, that I know that has degrees in biochemistry, law, and finance. Those are really 3 extremes. My mother studied, is a professor in chemistry. I failed chemistry in school, you know. So now combining that with law and finance, oh no, ladies. But don't let me hyper too much. Let's allow her to speak. Let's hear from her, right, before we then go into the Q&A session. Akofa, you are indeed welcome. It's my delight and it's our delight to have you here today. I would really want to learn from you, to learn from your journey, and perhaps just glean a few nuggets before we start asking our never-ending questions. You have the floor, Akofa. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Oluwaseyi and team at Powen. It's such a pleasure for me to join you all today. I have a bit of a cold, but we'll manage. As women, we always manage. So this is just one of those. It's such a delight for me to be here with you. I also started, you know, just like the women on the platform who have not had the opportunity yet to be on board, and just by believing in myself and taking the right steps, I was able to get some board opportunities. And so I'm very delighted to share that journey with you, and hopefully you will glean a lesson or 2 from my board journey. You glean a lesson or 2 from how to prepare yourself, you know, to be ready so that when opportunity comes, you're ready to take it up and you show up excellently. Thank you. So I have a little presentation prepared. I hope you can see my screen.
Can you please share it again? I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay, is it up?
Yes, it's up.
Okay.
Presentation, yes, fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So I would start by talking about why I took the deliberate action to attract board roles, and also why I'm passionate about mentoring other women, especially on this journey. So I'd say that it all started when I joined the Executive Women Network in Ghana. So this network was formed by a group of 5 women CEOs who felt that beyond their impact in their various boardrooms and their various organizations, they wanted to mentor other women, and they always had the requests to mentor a lot of women, and it was not very possible to mentor so many women at the same time. And so if they created such a platform, they would be able to scale up their influence, scale up that mentorship. And so I joined immediately. I heard about this network. I joined the network, and I realized that initially for me, it was just about getting ahead in my executive roles. But I realized that most of these women, apart from being CEOs of some organizations, and so being on the board of those organizations, they were on the boards of other organizations as well. And that helped to improve or increase their influence and impact, even beyond their current organizations. And so that inspired me greatly. And following some of these women on LinkedIn and on social media platforms, I soon realized that some of them were on the Boardroom Africa, which is just a board readiness organization like POWEN. So you are in the right place. And so I quickly applied to join the Boardroom Africa. And although I did not have the requisite number of years they indicated for a person to join that network, I applied anyway. You know, I always believe in myself beyond what, you know, others do or what is stated on the paper. I would still try anyway. So although I didn't have they were asking for 15 years senior leadership experience. I wasn't yet 15 years in senior leadership experience at the time, but I still applied. And luckily for me, I was taken. I was onboarded onto the program. And so that prepared me. I joined lots of webinars on board readiness. What are the various aspects of board readiness, governance, ESG, finance, strategy, and the like. And so I felt prepared to join a board role. But I would also like to start by saying that the boardroom needs more diverse voices like yours and mine. And so that was one of the overarching reasons why I decided to follow and pursue this board journey. And even though progress has been made, so I won't bore you with a lot of statistics, you would see that the numbers when it comes to board representation for women is quite low, but I won't bore you with the statistics. What I want to say is that a lot of progress has been made, but the rate of change has been slow, especially for top leadership roles like the chair of various boards, CEOs. And so it is important. I feel it is very important. We need that diversity in thought, diversity in experiences, brought into leading of organizations. And that's why I am quite passionate about being on boards and also encouraging fellow women to be on boards. Gender diverse boards are not just a nice to have. Research has shown that we usually have better financial outcomes. You know, you'd see women leading a lot of the top financial institutions, a lot of top commercial, you know, commerce-related FMCG organizations as well. And the data shows that we usually have potentially better financial performance when women lead, you know. And so it is important that we all support this initiative to have more women leaders. And that's why I am also passionate about this. In countries like Kenya, we've seen a greater number of representation than other countries, but it is critical that we all support to build that pipeline of skills, the technical skills, the leadership skills, the visibility, the mentoring, as we're doing today, so that more women will be ready for board membership and board leadership roles. Okay, at this point, I'll talk about my early career foundation and how that has shaped my desire and purpose, you know, to lead on boards and to mentor other women in the same vein. So I'd say that when I started my career, so Shay mentioned my early career journey in Guarantee Trust Bank, and I was an officer in the Treasury Department, and part of my duties was to analyze financial statements of banks so that we could put credit limits in place for these banks. And those days, unlike today, where You have the financial statement in soft copy. Those days we had the hard copies, the physical copies of financial statements. And after I've done my work reviewing analyzing the financials to see what limits we can put in place for which bank based on the financial health, I would scroll to, usually it's at the back or sometimes at the front of the financial statement, just to see who are the individuals on the board. And usually I'll be surprised that there are just very few, usually one or two. On several of the boards, there was no woman at all, so that disturbed me a lot. And very early on in my career, I decided that no, I would also want to be featured in these financial statements one day. That was great inspiration for me. And that also just highlights the importance of being visible, the importance of representation. If as a young lady I hadn't seen a few women on these boards, I would have thought probably it's impossible. It's only men who are capable of being on boards, at the time. But because I had these positive examples, seeing gorgeous women, well qualified, with good experiences, good qualifications on these boards, that inspired me to believe that I could also be on these boards one day. So that was a very good positive example for me, which inspired me a lot. And therefore, I also set out to be that positive example for others to emulate. And I also set out to build my expertise, and specifically in financial services, handling key technical department, treasury management and risk management, and accounting as well. So how did I become an accountant? Initially, I always tell the story of how I was scared of accounting in my initial entry-level program at Guaranteed Trust Bank. But years later, I realized that when I decided that I needed to be on board, I scanned through what are the competencies that are needed on boards. And one of the competencies that stood out was accounting, because every board needs to have an audit committee. It's mandatory for all boards. You need to have an audit committee. And nowadays, for most regulators of various industries, the audit committee has to be chaired by an accountant, or at least you need to have one accountant in the audit committee. So that stood out for me as one of the skills that, would definitely set you apart, would definitely add to your repertoire of skills and make you attractive for board roles. And so I studied accounting. I set myself a 2-year target to complete my ACCA qualification, and I did. And because I was so determined to have that skill, I even won national, international awards for best subject papers. I didn't set out to win awards. I just wanted to have this qualification to get me into boards. But, because I was so determined, I have to overcome that fear that I had initially in accounting. I just had to give it my all and make sure I had that qualification. And I would say that soon afterwards, together with my risk management experience, that is what stood out and made me attractive for the board roles that I am on, be it Service Securities. So Service Securities at the time I joined was a startup company in the financial markets, specifically financial brokerage industry in Ghana. And so they needed that expertise to help shape the board, to help them put together their governance framework, and then also a good risk management framework. And what also made me visible or attractive was because I was engaged in a lot of thought leadership, webinars at the time, thought leadership activities. I'm active on LinkedIn and on some social media platforms. I therefore attracted these thought leadership opportunities, which I grabbed and showed up well, and so that put me in that limelight. And when Service Securities was looking for a board person, they had a few names, and I was one of the names that they interviewed for that role, and I made it through. And so I encourage all the women on the platform, be visible. LinkedIn is the minimum. You have to be on LinkedIn, you have to be visible, you have some skills to offer, and so find those thought leadership opportunities and show up strongly in that way. So some of the competencies or skills that I'll highlight that prepared me for board opportunities, and basically these skills and competencies were developed in the executive roles that I had played in. And as a senior executive, I also had the opportunity to present to the board, sit through board meetings, and then just observe, how deliberations are held in the board, what board members require, the level of reporting, the level of depth that they require, the kind of questions they ask, how they think, and that prepared me. So I would highlight these skills: strategic thinking and business acumen. So apart from non-for-profit boards, most other boards are profit making, so they want people that would have that strategic thinking and that business acumen to support the executive management in driving the strategy and achieving their profit and other related goals. Financial expertise. So you don't necessarily have to be a chartered accountant. Usually we only need 1 or 2 chartered accountants on the board, but the other board members will just need to have a basic understanding of finance. When you are presented with a balance sheet or P&L statement, what are you supposed to look out for? Just the basics, which everyone has the capacity to be able to understand. That curiosity, so take it from someone who was scared of accounting and who eventually won awards, so don't be scared of accounting. You can overcome it, you can understand it, especially at the basic level that you need for sitting on boards and understanding board deliberations. And that curiosity and an eye for detail. So naturally, probably is because of my science background, I have that eye for detail, that curiosity. I like to question a lot, and that is a skill that is very important. It's a skill that you can develop in whatever role you're in, whether you're running your own business or you're in any role in an organization. Have that curiosity, ask questions. Don't take things at the surface level. You want to know the root cause of this challenge so that you can tackle the problem at the root cause. That governance and risk oversight. So organizations like POWEN would give you, that skill in governance, and then risk oversight as well. So I heard Shay talk about that partnership with DCRO. That is a very good partnership that will give you that board risk oversight competencies that you need. Another skill I'll highlight, stakeholder engagement and influence, is very important. And that is a skill you can develop in whatever role, whether as a mother in the house, as a member of a church, wherever you find yourself, you can develop those stakeholder engagement and influence capabilities. Leadership and people skills are also very important. And then resilience. So you shouldn't be someone who easily gives up. You can fail at something, that's all right, that's fine. but how do you quickly get up the next day and put everything behind you and then set another goal, strive forward to achieve what you want to achieve, and that is what is looked out for. Integrity is also very important. No one, if you have questionable integrity, would want to put you on their board, and so you have to guard your integrity very jealously. Be a person of your word. Be a straightforward person as well. So how did I attract board opportunities? Okay, I've talked a bit about some of these already. Visibility through thought leadership. And therefore, people would know you for something. You know, they know that when it comes to treasury management, I'm one of the best in the industry. And so because I'm called upon to give thought leadership speeches, I write in the dailies, in the business news. I write on my LinkedIn page as well. And so that demonstrated thought leadership, especially in treasury management and risk management. Then I had a visible online presence. It's very important to have that. Invest in it. Networking as well. I talked about how I quickly joined the Executive Women Network as soon as they set up in Ghana, and that provided very fantastic networking opportunities for me. Wherever I go, in any meeting, I meet one woman CEO or a top executive or an associate executive in one industry or the other, and that goes a long way to build your influence, you know, to build your brand, and to get that support, which is very important, especially for us as women. And the executive role visibility is also important. So I never wait to be ready before I put up my hand to take up a very challenging role in my organization. So at the time I was appointed head of treasury, I was just 32 years. But when the role became vacant, I put up my hand. I said, I can do this. Just give me the opportunity. And I did. After a while in treasury, I decided I needed risk management experience. I wanted to see more of the bank and understand much more what was happening in all facets of the bank. And so having prepared myself with the requisite qualifications, being known as someone who delivers when given a role to do, you know, I put up my hand again. I won this role when it became vacant and I was given the opportunity. So my first board opportunity, that was Service Securities, a much smaller organization. Earlier on, I had Shay talk with one of the members of Powen on how she's just taking up a role in a non-for-profit, if I got that correct. So it's okay to start with a non-for-profit or a lesser known board, you know, where it's easier for you to attract that opportunity. And then based on that, having successfully navigated that terrain, you would be seen as someone credible, you know, because for bigger boards, at least they want to see some board experience before you are given that opportunity. And so it's always okay to start from a non-profit board or a lesser known board or a smaller organization, just to build your confidence, build your expertise and your CV for that next bigger board opportunity. And so I got the opportunity to serve on Service Securities, took the role very seriously. Soon, at my first meeting, we had to appoint one of us as board chair, and you know, I was unanimously appointed as a board chair. And the comment one lady mentioned was, well, throughout this meeting, it was clear that you had read every paper that was presented from the questions you were asking, you know. So it wasn't a given that I was going to be the board chair, because the other lady, there were two other ladies who were also experienced, but one lady said, no, I believe that you'll be best suited for the board chair, because we could see that from the questions, your contribution, you had read every paper, every detail that was on the agenda today. And so who best to appoint as the board chair? So when you're given the opportunity, don't take it lightly, show up and show up very well. And then after that, so I would always make noise about my opportunities or opportunities that I'm given, my expertise, experiences. So I made noise about this on LinkedIn. And about 2 years after, or a year and a half or 2 years after, a former colleague calls me and says, I have heard of this board opportunity. They're looking for a chartered accountant and a woman because they want to balance the diversity, and they're looking for a younger person. So they were looking to diversify the board, bringing on board someone who was a bit younger, someone who was working in another industry. So this Guinness Ghana, although it's an FMCG company, they're looking for that diversity of thought. They're looking for a woman to bring that diversity in gender. They're looking for a younger person to bring that diversity in age as well. And so, are you interested? I said, yes, I am. And so I sent my CV. I was interviewed. So the entire interview process took about a year, you know. Such big organizations can be a bit bureaucratic, you know, so prepare for that. So you had to have first level interviews with the local executives, second level interviews with the nominations and remuneration committee, including some group executives as well, you know. So for me, what has stood out in that process, first of all, being visible, that got me the opportunity for my name to even be mentioned, for my CV to be presented. And then number two, also was having the right set of competencies that was needed. And then also doing my research very well, so that I could see what was the gaps probably what are the gaps that are on the board that you're looking to fill. And so that in your interview, you show up and then you're able to demonstrate that you come in as the best candidate to fill those gaps, you know. And quickly looking at their financial statements, looking at the diversity on the board. So these were very experienced senior board members, but I could see that that experience and expertise in financial risk management was a bit lacking. And probably that's what made my CV also quite attractive to them, because at the time in Ghana, we're navigating a lot of economic challenges. And so you needed very good financial risk management to help navigate those challenges. And the executives were very experienced, but you will need someone with a different perspective to challenge you, to provoke you, you know, in a certain way. And that was the gap that I saw that I could fill, you know. So I prepared very well for the interviews, the several level of interviews, and demonstrated that experience, that expertise that I could bring on board. And what are some of the challenges I faced? And so being on such a big board, like I said, some of the names, you know, people that you just read about, now you're sitting on the same board with these people, very experienced senior partners in big four companies, country partners, and all of that, and so imposter syndrome will come in, but you just have to quickly remind yourself every time that you're brought in for a certain purpose. You are not brought in because you are better than everybody on the board. No, you have your specific niche, and so just ensure that you shine when it comes to that niche. So in all the deliberations, I had to make my financial risk and banking expertise come out strongly in any discussion that was being held, and also just broadly strategic management skills, that business acumen, because I had led a business team before in the bank. And so just bringing that business acumen, that curiosity, that questioning abilities, to provoke change, to provoke thought in the discussions that were being held on the board. And it was also a learning curve for me to navigate, because this board is a stock exchange listed company. And so the requirements are quite different, quite stringent. You have to be careful what do you even put out there, because it affects stock prices and all of that, so managing that terrain was quite a learning curve for me, and very good learning experience, I must say. I would also talk about the growth and impact that I have made in my board journey. So I added value in the areas that I was strong in: financial risk management through turbulent economic environment, compliance and governance, being chief risk officer in a bank. I had that expertise in compliance, governance, risk management, and so I brought that on board. That strategic innovation, from my curiosity, my thought-provoking, questioning abilities, I brought that on board to help the organizations on whose boards I served. And finally, because I was only given 20 minutes, I think I've even exceeded that by now. So finally, I'll talk about a few reflections and leave you with some food for thought. So your purpose should drive your board journey. My purpose is to be that representation for that young lady to see and know that she also can aspire to be on big boards. She can aspire to be a big leader in an organization in future. I want to be that positive example and that representation. And then I also want to bring on board that diversity that the female gender would bring on board. And so that is basically my purpose for being on boards. Readiness is built, not given. So you should build your capacity, your capabilities, and not expect, so sometimes we have the misconception that most board roles are just handed to you because of whom you know, but you can know someone who would lead you to the door, but is your expertise, how you show up, that would make sure that you enter the door, because this space is also very competitive now, so I was told that I was in contention with about 4 experienced women as well, who were also had the basic qualifications, but it's how I showed up, how I did my research and made sure that I understood the gaps that this company was trying to fill, and showed up in that light. And then your technical expertise should go together with leadership and integrity. You should continuously invest in yourself, board training, governance training, and the like. Your visibility matters, network, thought leadership, and visibility in your industry creates these opportunities. Show how you add value. So you should have that strategic oversight. So as a board member, you have to have that big picture, thinking, outlook, ask the right questions, bring on board various perspectives. Be prepared to navigate challenges as a woman. You know, that is key. We have our unique challenges. We have some biases and stereotypes, you know, that people will try to put you in a certain box. People will come with their own biases. And the fact is that the majority of board members today are men, you know, so they will come with their own biases and stereotypes. And so you have to be prepared to show up excellently, to apply wisdom, a lot of wisdom, you know, how to build those alliances, build credibility, and gain that influence. Mentorship, like what we're doing today, and sponsorship is key as well. And so you have to invest in mentorship and invest in sponsorship. I'll leave it there and hand it back to Shay.
Wow, what a journey. Thank you for sharing so much. I mean, of course, I mean, for such a rich and a diverse experience, there's no way you can cap everything within 20 minutes. So that's why I just allowed you, you know, because there's so much to learn, so much to learn from your experience. I mean, I like one of the things that, so many things I like, but one of the things I just want to buttress is the power of visibility. On the board readiness program, the only session I take is the session on personal branding and visibility, because I'm very passionate about it. It's really made all the difference, you know, for me and for many of the women that we have in our board roles. You can be so good. I mean, if not for your personal branding, I wouldn't have known who you are, what you do, and I wouldn't have gone after you, right? The way I did that. You know what? Our women need to listen to you, and we need to learn from your journey. And this has now then opened you up to at least how many women? We have 41 women on this call, and we have over 500 who would still watch the replays. I mean, that's like almost 600 people who would probably never heard of you, who are getting to know about you. And I mean, just also even understanding and learning about your incredible journey is such an inspiring way. You know, it's so inspiring even for me. So thank you for being you. Thank you for putting yourself out there. Thank you for putting in all the work, because we really need more female role models. We really need many women who can show other people that it's possible. Right. For instance, you can have a degree in chemistry, finance, and law. It's possible, and still have a family, and still build a family, and not only excel, but also win awards, right? In an area where you formerly thought, oh, I did not have the skill. I mean, I just think this is really, really beautiful. And this also to challenge every woman who's on this call. And when we started the session, we started with Opeyemi, who was just, I mean, she's not even been part of our board readiness program. She's just been part of this mentorship program for 2 sessions, and she already is on a board. I mean, for me, that's just the biggest hype for me. And the fact that she said it was the things that she learned from this mentoring sessions that helped her to get on those board. I think that's fantastic. So the question I ask all those who have been joining, what have you done with what you have learned? Because it's not just about learning, it's about putting your learning to action. What are you able to do with what you know? That will open up doors for you. That will create opportunities for you. Akofa, thank you so much. We will go into the Q&A session now. We have some questions in already, and I will take that. I just also wanted to take this opportunity to let you know that the application for the OnBoardHer program is still on. It closes, I think, on the 30th, if I get that right. Readiness, if I didn't get it right, please correct me. It closes on the 30th, and please make sure you do apply on time, because really, once we have our target number, right, we just close application. So apply first. Let's evaluate your eligibility for that program, and then put yourself out there, right, for an opportunity to get that role. I also liked what you said, Akofa, about analyzing skill gaps, because, popular saying to thy own self be true. If you really do not know what your gaps are, and the way you analyze it is, what are boards requiring? What does it take? So Akofa talked about your purpose. Your purpose should guide the kind of boards that you want to pursue. So the question is, from your purpose, what kind of boards would you like to pursue? So for me, I'm very passionate about boards that have social impact, right? So that would trick my fancy any day, even no matter how busy I am. Oh, what's this about? So your purpose should guide, the kind of boards you're looking at. Now, for the kind of boards that you're looking at, the question is, what do they require and what skills do you have? And then you analyze what's the gap between the skills that I currently have and the skills that are required on this kind of board, and then just go for it. I mean, Akofa talked about how she just went for the accounting and finance knowledge, and she not only got it, but she was winning. Do you know what it takes to win ACC awards? It's not beans. It's really, really, really not beans. I mean, I studied accounting in my BS, even though I knew I was not going to do anything after that. But I know that you must be hot, really, 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 really hot, to be able to get this award. So you then go for it, ladies. We need to. Omotola is interested about compensation on BoardHer. Trust me, compensation should not be a key driver. But the thing is that the bigger the boards, the bigger the compensation, and the bigger the cap of the organization, the bigger the amount. But let that not be your motivation, because once you add value, money will chase you. People will chase you and say, you know what, no matter, name your price. Name your price. Am I right, Akofa?
That's true. Perfectly true.
All right. So let me start, with the first question that has come in. Then we'll go on to some of the questions we had prepared. And this question comes in from Andrea. Let me get that question. I saw the question just now. Just a minute. Okay, yes. So Andrea says, in your board journey, where have you seen belief in yourself being challenged? And how have you navigated this?
Okay, thank you, Andrea, for that question. Where have I seen belief in myself being challenged? I would say, I just read a comment. Someone says, I love your calmness. I love how you speak. It's so soothing. But I'd say that has also been a challenge for me. I'm not a very outspoken person. I'm not the fastest talker and all of that. And so I would tend to be a bit reserved sometimes and not speak up when I even believe that I have something to say. I would allow others to have the first say. But throughout my journey, I've learned that I have a unique perspective to give. And so even if I'm not the first person to speak, I still would raise my hand and make my perspective known, because, sometimes I realize that perspective, is that small shift that was needed, at that point, to bring out certain decisions that were inured to the benefit of the company at the time. And so I've learned to come out of my shell and not allow that laid back disposition of mine to interfere with speaking up, asking questions, making my perspective known, irrespective of how intimidating the room can be. So that would be the aspect I would say that believing myself has been challenged.
Okay, thank you. So a lot of questions coming in. So we have a next question from from Onaoluwa Abimbola. I think she's from Nigeria also. And she says, as a female board member, how do you approach differences of opinions during board meetings? Especially, so Andrea is saying thank you. I see you, Andrea, especially when your opinion or perspective is in the minority.
Speak up anyway. You know, so one thing I am known for is that I would always let my perspective, irrespective of however unpopular it is, be known. So irrespective of how intimidating the room is, irrespective of how, whether I'm the sole voice of dissent, I believe that if I believe in a certain perspective, I will make it known, and I will allow the majority to take the day. You know, because mostly in board deliberations, it will be about what the majority believe in. But then also, if you have a good board chair, what would usually happen is that they would respect all voices in the room. They would ensure that anyone who is bringing a different perspective is listened to. They would ensure that any question that is asked, we don't just brush it aside, but we delve deeper into it, because sometimes that is what could spark a certain decision, that is what could spark some deeper analysis, you know, to be done, such that some blind spots, some risks that we are overlooking could surface, you know, for the good of the company. So speak up anyway, I would say. Don't be shy, don't be scared to be the voice of dissent or the lone voice, you know, speak up anyway. And after a while, people will respect you for that. People will respect you for being the person who will not just follow the crowd. You know, there's what we call groupthink also. So on boards, usually we're also looking for people who are confident in their knowledge, confident in their perspectives, and would be able to bring a different perspective. Otherwise, you'd have everybody towing a certain line, and you could have that groupthink risk, you know, portraying itself or derailing the decisions that are made in the boardroom. So be proud of your different perspective. Say it in any way, respectfully, you know, and not be shy about it, I would say.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. And I mean, just to add to that, you know, there's something you said earlier, which I think is critical and really makes a difference between people who add value on boards and people who don't, is the preparation before the meeting, right? So before the meeting, you will typically have your board packs. Now, sometimes those board packs are truly, truly bulky, right?
Yeah.
But the more you study it and the more you understand it and get your questions ready before the meeting, the better value you're able to add during the meeting, because most people won't read it anyways. So when you come to the meeting, you know, prepared with questions, prepared, and that even also helps the organization as a whole. So when they know that Akofa, you can't go to a board meeting with Akofa and get wool under her eyes. No, she's read it, she pays attention to details, and she'll pull everything that needs to be pulled out. So it also helps the organization prepare better when they know that they're coming to meet a board that is very active in the decision making. So I just thought to add that because you had shared that earlier. Okay, so Ajoke is also asking, is there a specific way to sharpen your business?
Thank you. I would support participants to read your board packs. Hello?
Please go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, I just wanted to support that point you made about reading board packs and preparing before meetings, in support of that question, because that would help you be confident. Even if you are the voice of dissent, it will help you be confident in making that point because you've researched about it, you've read the board papers, and you know that this is an area that we need to highlight as a board. This is an area that we need to delve more into. And in even bringing out that point, you have that confidence because you've researched, you've read, researched, and you've thought through, that point very well. Thank you. Back to you, Shay.
Thank you, Ekofa, for sharing that. So Ajaka is asking, is there a specific way to sharpen your business acumen beyond the regular education that we're getting on programs like this? She's asking for herself and also for her daughters.
Thank you for that question. Yes, so sharpening your business acumen, I'll say that you have to read widely. I am someone who reads I'm always subscribing to one newsletter or the other, and read the newspapers, just read widely from various industries. Usually there are a lot of lessons you can pick up from different industries, how different industries are doing things. Some industries do certain things better, so you can glean those lessons, but you have to read widely. You have to expose yourself to different things happening around you. And mostly it's through reading widely, attending webinars when you have the chance, listening to audio. So when you are driving in some part of our African settings, there's a lot of traffic. Just while away that time, listening to one podcast or the other, there are a lot of experienced leaders who do a lot of podcasts, who invite other leaders, question them. And there's so much you can learn from such podcasts, such newsletters. So read widely, listen a lot, and just be curious. So what's happening in this industry? Why is it happening this way? There's always one lesson or the other to learn that will broaden your business acumen.
Thank you for sharing that. One of the things I often tell the ladies in the board ready and generally in the leadership of PAWEN is that curiosity doesn't kill the cat, right? I think in this era, in this VUCA era, and in this AI era, the only thing that will stand you out is your curiosity, right? Oh, why is this way? Why does this happen? Why is this like this? Because the more you ask questions, the more you seek answers. The more you seek answers, the more you know. The more you know, the better value you're able to give to any organization, whether you are in their management team or you're on their boards. And the more you know, the more value you're able to give. Thank you for sharing that. So Yoju has another question, where she says, are you expected to be actively involved in the organization outside of your contribution during board meetings?
I would say there's an extent to which you're expected to be involved. So we have the executives who run the day-to-day activities of the organization. And as board members, you're not expected to be interfering, in that day-to-day management or running of the company. Yours is to ensure that the company has the right strategy in place and they are following through that strategy. Yours is to provoke them in thinking in different ways about how they can do things better, exposing them to certain risks that probably they haven't seen, putting them on their toes, basically, but not to get involved in the day-to-day running of the organization. So for some boards, they would invite you for strategy sessions with the executives so that you just get to meet the executives and also walk that journey? How do they put the strategy in place? Have they considered all the aspects that they needed to consider? Have they considered the risks in the outlook? And also bring on board your expertise, because you also have some expertise, some bigger thinking, picture thinking that you can bring on board. But outside that, also you are expected to be a cheerleader for the organization, where things are going well. Cheer them on. If things are not going well, so just tap them a bit, not in public, but supporting them come out of any challenges, but also cheering them, being that support. And where you have certain contacts also. So if the organization is facing a certain challenge and you have some contacts that can help them unlock certain opportunities, yes, you're allowed to get involved as well. Yeah, but mostly the expectation is not to be actively day to day, involved in the operations of the organization.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And also, just to add to that, and to also help respond to another question, which I just believe we can just quickly move on to, is that there are no two boards that are the same, right? The requirements for one board will be different from the requirements for another board. So each board will let you know the extent to which you will be involved, both as a board member and also in supporting the organization as a whole, right? So those things are usually typically spelled out at the point of recruitment, at the point of you have all those details, but no two boards are the same, right? And also that also goes to the question for, someone from Zimbabwe, she didn't put her name. The criteria for being on board A is different from the criteria for being on board B. Each board will have its own criteria of who they are looking for on their board. So no one here can tell you what the requirements would be, but there's some basic general requirements that you will need in terms of skills to be an effective board member. So even if the board is not asking outrightly that they're looking for people with those skills, having those skills will make you a better board member. And those are the skills that we train for in our OnBoardHer program. You can read the brochure to see all the skills. I don't want to, go into that. Someone asked an interesting question, but I'll just ask it all the same. She said, how do you pick a mentor?
Okay. The first point I would say in picking a mentor, the person's values has to align with yours, so, and a mentor is someone that has those qualities that you aspire to be, because the relationship is basically a learning relationship. So you pick a mentor that you can learn from. You pick a mentor that can open doors for you where possible. You pick a mentor whose values, whose experiences, whose journey is something that you aspire, to walk that journey or to be as well. So, and where would you find mentors? You have to be visible. Is from being visible that you can find. So I have had people mentor me just because of my visibility. I have some top women CEOs would say, Akofa, can we have lunch today? I'm available if you need someone to talk to. These days, because of technology, digital, in whatever part of the world they're in or they are in, you can bounce ideas off them. You can talk your challenges to them as well. So basically, I'd say that it's someone whose values, whose journey, whose experiences align with yours and that you aspire to be, because it's a learning relationship. You're supposed to learn from the person's journey. You're supposed to be challenged by the person. You're supposed to have that person as your biggest cheerleader or one of your biggest cheerleaders, and someone who can open doors for you, mention your name in the right rooms.
Okay, thank you for that. And this also leads me to the next question. When you were making your presentation, you mentioned something about navigating. You must learn how to navigate challenges as a woman. Now, we all know that Africa is a patriarchal society. In your journey, are there experiences where are there challenges that you have faced that were because they're gender specific, so that you face those challenges because you're a woman? And would you like to share what those challenges were, and but more importantly, how were you able to navigate those challenges? Because the whole essence of this sessions was to learn, right, from people who have gone ahead of us, and so that we don't even need to now then reinvent the wheel again.
Thank you for that question. Yes, so I have faced challenges, and I'll say it's basically because of some stereotypes or biases against women, so even in my executive roles, you sometimes I've had the opportunity of leading older men, in my team, and it is, for me, how I navigate that is through respect. So show respect to everyone. When you come into that boss, subordinate or colleague relationship from a point of respect, you'd see that these barriers or these biases, these stereotypes can be broken. You could still face some very egoistic, if I should put it that way, personalities, but that is where also the wisdom of God comes in. You have to apply a lot of wisdom. You have to apply a lot of wisdom as a woman in navigating that, but also be firm. So one thing I'm always known for is being firm, and being professional. So if you are firm, you're professional, no one can accuse you of anything that would harm your reputation or that would put you in a bad light. So you show respect, first of all, you apply wisdom, you are firm, but you are professional about it. So it is not because you are the boss, you're a woman, and so even if someone is putting up a certain attitude, you have to show them where pepper lies, as we say in Africa. No, that would not be the wise choice to do. So you have to apply a lot of wisdom, but you have to be firm. And especially if you work in performance-driven organizations where the HR system works very well, then it's a good place to be, because you can be firm, but you'll be very professional in whatever you're doing, and then you also show respect. Usually people's guards are let down once you show them that respect, and then you show that you value their expertise, and one thing that stands out for me in my leadership journey is identifying people's strengths. So I believe that everyone has some strengths, something to offer. Otherwise, they would not probably have even made it in the door in the first place. Or if they're lagging behind, then there's an HR process that will deal with that. But I believe that everyone has some strengths. So it's how you can identify and harness those strengths that would help those people believe more in themselves. You show them respect, and they are always usually willing to go that extra mile to support you as a leader. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have just a few minutes to the end, but I mean, we cannot end this without me asking you two questions. One question, then I'll take a second question from Andrea. And then if you have any other questions, you can just quickly pop it in and see, maybe we'll be able to take it. Well, I never want to complete any session like this without talking about office politics, and in this context, boardroom politics. What has been your experience, and what piece of advice will you give to women? Because navigating boardroom politics as a man is different from navigating boardroom politics as a woman. So for the women here, what advice would you give us in navigating boardroom politics?
Hey, thanks, Shay. That's an interesting question. Boardroom office politics. It's one phenomenon we always will live with, so the earlier you accept that this is given, the better it is for you. So for office politics or boardroom politics, I would say that first of all, when you enter a new boardroom, you're appointed into a new boardroom or into an executive position, you have to learn the culture in that boardroom. Who are the power brokers, who came before who was appointed by who, so understand the culture, understand the dynamics, in that boardroom, and that would help you in navigating in your relationships with everyone on the board. And quickly also try to build very good professional relationships with everyone on the board is important. How do you go about that? If there's a way to go even beyond the boardroom, having some sessions, invite people for lunch, for dinner, in a professional way, I should put it, just to break that ice, know them a bit beyond the official roles that they hold, and also going out of the way to support them. So if it is a board chair, how do you support the board chair in ensuring that the activities of the board or what they're passionate about gets done in that way? So going out of your way to also provide that support for the various members of the board will help you build a good working relationship. And respect also, I'll say again here, show respect for everyone, irrespective of the roles that they hold, from the senior most to the junior most on the board or in the organization. Show them respect, show that you value their expertise, and then also be seasoned in your speech. So I'm a Christian, so the Bible says that you need to be seasoned in your speech. So there's a way you can make a point and make it professionally and make it in a way that does not hurt people. And there's a way that you can make that same point and just rub it off badly with people. So be seasoned in your speech, build good relationships, know and learn the culture in the boardroom, and know how to relate with everyone. But that should not prevent you from performing the role that you were put on the board for. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Because it's usually one key area that, a lot of women kind of struggle with. And so I just had to pop up that question. Now we'll take this question from Andrea. And if I don't get another question, this will be the final question. I think this has to be the final question. We don't have enough time. Now, do you have any podcasts that you found really valuable, particularly from a risk and finance perspective? Now, I believe this is Andrea, one of our facilitators who takes the risk class. So I can imagine that she's interested in this.
Okay, so there are some podcasts, because I'm a member of the ACCA, there are some podcasts I listen to from the ACCA platforms. And then also I'm a member of the financial risk community. And so there are some podcasts I listen to from that platform as well. PCB as well. They provide certifications in risk management. There are some podcasts from there as well. And I subscribe to various leadership channels, so I'm always listening to one podcast. Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan or such top CEOs. There are several podcasts that interview various top CEOs that I listen to as well. But the top ones for me will be the podcasts that I get from ACCA, from the FRM, Financial Risk Management platforms here.
Okay, so just thank you so much. And Andrea is saying thank you. I mean, I love that emoji, Andrea. Just before I allow you to take your closing remarks, and I just want to allow you to rest for a minute, right? Before you take your closing remarks. I also want to just remind you all that our board readiness program starts in 2 weeks. Application deadline is in 1 week. Application deadline is on 30th, right? Readiness has sent in the links in the chat, and also to the DCRO Institute press release, right, on our partnership, which was published by the DCRA a few days ago. So she's also sent the link to that, so everyone can benefit of that. You don't even have to be a member of PWEN. As long as you're an African woman, just click on it. If you have any issues, just send us an email. We'll liaise with them. But if you want to go for their highest certification, you must have PWEN's board readiness certificate or any other board readiness certification. But I dare say that for Africa, I think ours is the only board readiness certification that they accept that I know of as at today, right? Yeah, I'm very proud of the quality of our curriculum and to the quality of our faculty members. So I know they do accept some other ones, but I think ours is the only one they accept in Africa as at today. So Kofa, we'd like to hear closing remarks from you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sheyi, and all the women on this platform today. So I'll end by stating one piece of advice I wish I had had earlier in my journey. That is, don't wait until you feel perfectly ready before stepping into board opportunities. I had to join the boardroom and the Executive Women Network to get that exposure and then join the Boardroom Africa. But generally, you'd see that confidence grows with experience. So you have to start from somewhere and not the other way around. Don't wait till you have all the experience before you show up and show up confidently. Confidence grows with experience. And so say yes, show up, raise your hand, and trust that your voice and your perspective have value. I recently listened to former president of the US, Barack Obama, where he said, usually when you sit around tables in big rooms with people with big titles, you realize that probably they're not as smart as you thought, or more smarter than you, so don't be afraid of all the big titles that Akofa has or someone else has. Just have confidence that your voice matters, your perspective also matters. You could have that one unique experience or one unique question to ask that will provoke a certain decision that will turn around the story of a company. And so show up anyway. The boardroom needs your diversity of thought. It needs your lived experiences. And so the sooner you take your seat, the sooner you can start shaping impact. And as women, I heard someone say, what is the lesson in here for my daughters? I also have daughters. And so I want to show up and be that example. So let's all be passionate. Let's all be, how do I put it? Be intentional about showing up and being that example for that little girl, young lady somewhere who needs that example to build her confidence to show up. So I've had an engaging conversation today, and what I've learned on my journey is that leadership is not about having all the answers, but about asking the right questions, staying curious and lifting others as you rise. So let's be intentional. You know, when I got the call to be on this, I was in the middle of a lot of board sessions, so I've even had to reschedule, which she gladly agreed with. But I decided that I needed to be on this platform because I need to lift others as I rise. I don't want to rise alone, but I want to lift others with me as I rise. So let's be confident that the future of leadership depends on diversity of thought, courage, and inclusion. And so let's step forward with confidence. Let's build strong networks and never underestimate the value of our voices. Together, we can shape boardrooms and industries that are more resilient, more innovative, and more inclusive. So let's not be afraid. Let's not be scared. Show up and show up excellently. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies. I mean, you'll all agree with me that Akufa has poured out of her heart this evening. It's almost 8 p.m. in Kenya where she is. So I'd like you to just unmute. And yes, it's going to be rowdy, but I want her to hear. You've been listening to her voice for the past 90 minutes. Please unmute and say a word of appreciation to her, please.
Thank you, Akufa.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so
God bless
much,
you.
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
And Ajaka says that today is a premium gesture of lifting others up. So she's saying thank you to you, Akufa. It really has been a pleasure having you here. Your wealth of experience shows clearly. The humility and the passion in your voice is just so evident. Thank you so much. And I'll reach out to you after this. Thank you so much. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend, ladies.